Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, for today's episode, I feel in the mood to look at a live-action Disney oldie. And when I say oldie, I'm specifically talking about the ones from before my generation. Whenever someone mentions these old Disney films, they would usually think of films like Old Yeller, The Parent Trap, The Love Bug, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Davy Crockett, Escape to Witch Mountain, and so on. But you may be asking, which Disney oldie have I chosen for this episode, and does it still hold up today? Well, we're about to find out. Released on May 19th, 1960, the movie is Pollyanna. Now, on for the plot of the movie. Young orphan Pollyanna believes life's most difficult problems can always be surmounted by a positive attitude and pragmatism. But when she moves in with her dour aunt, she is introduced to a range of disheartened folks who challenge her upbeat look. Not to be discouraged, she sets to work spreading hope and good cheer. However, when an inspired doctor leads the community in a campaign in opposition to her aunt, Pollyanna's goodwill is strained. Now, what do I personally think of this movie? Well, like I said, when I was young, I wasn't all that crazy about old live-action Disney oldies, but now that I'm older, I start to realize how much of a classic this movie is, and I think it's got to be one of the best live-action films that Walt Disney has ever made. And to further explain why I think so, let's move on to Mustang Notes. The movie was directed by David Swift, marking Pollyanna as his directorial debut before directing The Parent Trap and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Also, this film is based on the book of the same name by Eleanor H. Porter. Pollyanna began filming in August 1959 in Santa Rosa, California, with the Mapleton Mansion at 1015 McDonald Avenue serving as the exterior and grounds of Aunt Polly's house. Other California locations include Napa Valley and Petaluma. Interiors were filmed at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. In the book, Harrington is set in Vermont. However, in the movie, Harrington is located in Maryland, as Baltimore is mentioned several times throughout the script. For example, Aunt Polly and Pollyanna take the train to Baltimore at the end of the movie, possibly headed to Johns Hopkins Hospital due to the delicacy of the operation needed. Anyway, in my opinion, I think the cinematography for this movie, for the time, looks pretty good, and I really like how the movie depicts the town of Harrington. Also, I think the Bizarre Carnival kind of makes me think of the OC Fair and the Ice Cream Social from The Music Man. Plus, I think the film's story is very heartwarming and optimistic, in a way, kind of like Annie. And now let's move on to the film's cast. Our main character, Pollyanna Whittier, is played by then newcomer Hayley Mills, whom afterwards got to act in The Parent Trap, Summer Magic, and several other old Disney classics. To me, Pollyanna is a bright, optimistic, funny, and kind child. And I like that her optimism has changed several of the townsfolk's lives for the better. Plus, for her first film role, Hayley Mills does a remarkable job, so much so that she actually won the Academy Juvenile Award for her performance. Also, I think she's a great singer, like during the scene where she sings America the Beautiful. Next we have Pollyanna's aunt, Polly Harrington, played by Jane Wyman, whom was in Bon Voyage, and she was the first wife of former U.S. President Ronald Reagan. Polly is a rich socialite whose duty is to protect Pollyanna. To me, she is pretty harsh, stern, responsible, but at the same time, she is very beautiful. Plus, it's kind of weird how her wealth controls most of the town. This is Jimmy Bean, played by Kevin Corcoran, who appeared in numerous Disney projects between 1957 and 1963, like Old Yeller, Goliath 2, The Swiss Family Robinson, and Babes in Toyland. This young orphan kid becomes Pollyanna's closest playmate, and in my opinion, Jimmy is a very sneaky and mischievous kid, and he seems to like climbing trees despite the dangers that it has. Next up is Polly's ex-boyfriend, Dr. Edmund Chilton, played by Richard Egan. I find Chilton to be another memorable character, partly due to his relationship with Polly, and I like the scene where he tries to persuade the town minister, Reverend Ford, to publicly declare his support for the bazaar by reminding him that nobody owns a church. Also, I think he makes a great doctor due to him trying to help Pollyanna feel better after her legs became paralyzed when she fell off the window ledge. Our next character is Nancy Furman, the downstairs maid and Pollyanna's new best friend, played by Nancy Olson, who was in The Absent-Minded Professor and its sequel, Son of Flubber. I find Nancy to be pretty similar to Grace Farrell from Annie due to her kind personality, and throughout this movie, Nancy is in a secret relationship with George Dodds. The last character to talk about is Mr. Pendergast, played by Adolphe Menjot, marketing Pollyanna as the last movie he ever acted in before his death in 1963. When Pollyanna first meets him, he seemed like a grumpy old recluse, but as the film progresses, he does soften up a bit, and I like that he introduced Pollyanna to rainbow prisms. Also, at the end of the movie, he adopts Jimmy Bean as his son. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Pollyanna has got to be one of Walt Disney's finest live-action films of the 1960s. While it wasn't nearly as much of a profit as Disney had hoped, it still makes a sweet, optimistic, and tear-jerking movie. Plus, David Swift did a great job for his directorial debut. The cinematography is fantastic, the score by Paul Smith is classical, and the movie's cast do wonderful performances, especially Hayley Mills as Pollyanna. So, if you ever get the chance to watch this movie, look for it either on DVD or Disney+. Trust me, this film will definitely steal your heart away. As for my rating, I'll give it a 96% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power.